Hi everyone, I'm Rhonda from Acres of Clay, and today I'm going to show you how to freeze dry milk. At the store you can buy powdered milk, which is usually non-fat. I don't know if they have whole milk that is dried. I know they have non-fat. And today I'm going to try an experiment. I haven't done this yet with my freeze dryer, but what I have here is 4 trays of already frozen milk. Ooh, that's cold. So let me start by telling you what I did. The background noise you hear is the freeze dryer. It's already running and it's cooling. It's at 14 degrees right now, so it's perfect temperature to get this frozen milk in there. But before I do that, let me share with you how I did that. Yesterday, I put all these trays without milk. I placed them in my deep freeze very carefully so that they were level. Some of them weren't quite so level, so it's a little bit lopsided, but you have to be careful so that the milk doesn't spill in the freezer. So I just laid the trays in the freezer and then I poured the milk, because if I were to pour the milk onto the trays and then try to handle them by placing them in the freezer and trying to get them level that way, that wasn't gonna work. So I placed them in the freezer, poured the milk into the trays, and I put about 2.5 pounds of milk per tray. And that's kind of important to know how much liquid goes into your tray, because when I take it out, I'm going to reweigh it. That way I will know how much to reconstitute it to. So I start with 2.5 pounds, and then once it's all done, I take it out and I'm going to measure how much each tray weighs. That way I'll know exactly how much water to add when it's time to reconstitute it. This is just raw whole milk, 4.5, maybe a little bit more butter fat. So this has got a lot of fat in it. We're gonna try it. And one thing I've learned, well, I haven't learned it on my own, but through other people's mistakes. This is how I'm trying to learn these things, is by learning through other people's mistakes. I've read that any liquid like milk or eggs, you want to pre-freeze that. That way you don't have any explosions in your freeze dryer, because I have seen pictures of people putting just their liquid ingredients into the freeze dryer, and a lot of the times the center of your milk, it doesn't get completely solid froze. This has been in the freezer overnight, so it's completely solid. It's completely frozen. If it doesn't get completely frozen in the freeze dryer, a lot of times it will start to heat up already, and it doesn't sense that the freeze dryer doesn't sense that it's completely solid frozen. The vacuum will kick on and it'll go to the next cycle and start warming up, and then you have an explosion. So that's why I pre-freeze everything, and now we're gonna get it in the freezer and see how long this takes. I figure since it's a liquid, it's gonna take a little bit longer. So I will bring you guys back once it's completely freeze dried, and we'll see what it looks like. We'll see how much it weighs, and we'll see how long it takes. The milk is finished. This was in the freeze dryer for I think 42 or 43 hours total. So it took a little bit longer than some things, but of course it's gonna take longer because it is a liquid. But it is no longer a liquid. I've tried it, I've tested it, and it is now a powder. So we have powdered milk. So what I have to do is weigh each tray, the amount of product that is on each tray. Remember, I started with 2.5 pounds of milk before it was frozen, before I put it in the freeze dryer. And so now we're gonna see how much water came out of it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put 1 tray in. I have a dish here on my scale, and we're going to see how much it weighs. That's a big picture, kind of big. I've got it weighed up, and it's 1/2 pound. So that means that I have to add 2 pounds of water to reconstitute this whole thing. You see how it's kind of flaky? The eggs are the same way, so any liquid I feel is going to be like kind of flaky. I'll do the math to figure out like how much reconstitutes a half a cup or so, and then what I'll do is I'll write the instructions. I will write the instructions on my Mylar bag, or you can make a label and stick your label on your Mylar bag also. If you purchase a Harvest Right, what you get is the machine, and you get like 50 Mylar bags. You get oxygen absorbers, so they give you enough oxygen absorbers to fit into your bag, so there's 50 of those. Those come in 10 count packages, so you're not opening up a whole 50 count package. So you got 50 bags, which are really thick. To me, I think they're probably an 8 mil. It seems like there might be an 8 mil, 7 to 8. They're really thick. And you also get this, what are these called? You also get this heat sealer. Personally, I think the Mylar bags are a little too thick for this to work properly, because I just don't think it gets hot enough. But if I got a smaller mil Mylar bag, say a 5 or a 6 mil, I think that this would work. I have found that instead of using this, I know I have to use it several times for it to really get a good seal, and you have to hold it down. When you order a freeze dryer, then one of these comes with it also. So that's just something that gets added, that comes with your order. But I have found that if you just take a hair straightener, this gets much hotter than that, and I think it does a far better job. So I usually use that. It's really easy to use too. I'm gonna go ahead and put this first one in the Mylar bag. You don't wanna leave this out in the air very long, because it can start to reconstitute and start absorbing some of the moisture that's in the air. So you wanna take care of it as quick as possible. For long-term storage, you can use the jars or the Mylar, as long as the jars are vacuum sealed. If you're going to store them for long-term, you're also going to want to throw in a oxygen absorber in your jar. That way it will absorb any oxygen that's left in the jar, even though it's vacuum sealed. So I'm just gonna take all my milk. Now this milk here, since it is, this is whole milk, remember, 100% whole milk. It's got like 4.5% fat in it. I decided to do 3 of the trays in Mylar, and my last tray I put in a jar, in a mason jar, and this is just a pint size. So one of those trays that held 2.5 pounds of milk, which I'll give you the details of, pounds and versus. So one of those trays made about 2 cups worth of powder. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put the lid on. I did put an oxygen absorber in there, and I'm gonna go ahead and seal it, and using my food saver with the attachment. These attachments are for regular and largemouth jars, mason jars, and so this is the largemouth, and it fits right over top of this. These you can buy on Amazon or eBay or anywhere. They're called Food Saver Jar Sealer, and you can just Google that and I'm sure it will show you. Usually you can purchase them in a pack of 2, a largemouth and a regular mouth. So I'm not sponsored by any of that, but just in case you guys are wondering. Alright, so this is the food saver that I have, and mine actually, the button in here broke, so I don't know, it was a piece of plastic inside that had broken, and my husband took it all apart and he just wired the hose directly to it. So when I want to use for the bags, I actually he made like a plug to go on the end of this, and then when I want to use the jar sealers, then I just plug this right into it, and this goes into your jar. And whoops, now I'm reusing a canning lid. This one had jam in it. But as long as there's it's not bent or dung up or there's no holes in it, it will work fine for this. I keep a lot of my lids for this reason, just to reuse them like this or for food storage in the refrigerator or whatever. This fits right down on top, and all you have to do is make sure everything's snug up. And if your food saver has a hose attachment, this will work for you. And then mine just says canister, so I have to close it. Mine says canister, so I just hit the canister button. And that's that. I take the lid off this, and you can kind of hear that. And this is completely airtight. I'll take it off so that you can hear that it's sealed, and then I'll reseal it. So sometimes they're sealed really good, like this one. Oh goodness. Oof. There we go. That's how that's done. Now I just got milk powder all over the edge. You have to make sure your rim is clear, and this is clean too. Otherwise, you'll lose your seal. Sometimes they do lose seals, but very rarely. A lot of the times, I will keep a ring on these if I'm going to do long food storage, because if they do lose their seal and pop, the ring will just hold that on, and it won't be such a big deal. There it is. Let's take this off, pop this off, and it's good to go. You can put this on your shelf, and this will be shelf stable for a very long time. And I put an oxygen absorber in there. I did that because I don't know the next time I'm going to actually use this. So if I want to use this for long-term food storage, the oxygen absorber will draw out any oxygen that is left in here. I did the math and figured out that each tray, it held 2.5 pounds of milk, which was an equivalent to about 4.5 cups of milk. It dried it down, and each tray held 2 cups of powder. So I took out of each tray 2.5 cups of water. In order to reconstitute this, I'm just going to add 1 cup of powder to 1 1/4 cups of water. Now we have powdered milk. Thanks for joining me on another adventure of freeze drying. And if this is something that is interesting to you and you're considering getting a freeze dryer, I have a link in the description below. You can click on that. I am an affiliate, which means that if you order through that link, I do receive a little bit of income out of that, which is greatly helpful. It doesn't cost you anything, and it doesn't make the price of the machine or anything go higher. And if you click on that link, it will take you to Harvest Right's website, so you can explore that and learn more about what freeze drying is all about. All right, until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day, and we will see you in the next video. Take care.